right, the snowflakes have united, and they have a very interesting target this time that I think brought it on himself. But I think there's as interesting, viral comments and outrage happens. It's rarely all the bad guy. So let's see what you think about this. If you haven't heard about this story, there's a CEO out of Australia, and he's a property developer, and he's the head of Gurner Group, and his guy's name is Tim Gurner. And so he's being interviewed by the Australian Financial Review. And this is such a big deal, it's made waves here in America. And oh boy, are the snowflakes outraged. So let's look at this. Should they be outraged? Should they be offended? Or should they be provoked? There's your three doors today. By the way, as I share this story, I'll tell you what I'm going to do for you folks today. I'm going to walk you through the way I process any news. And I think it might help you. All right? I think there's three responses. Door number one is I'm outraged. Door number two is I'm offended. There's a difference. And door number three is I'm provoked. Okay? Now, let me explain that last one. Okay? Outraged is outrage. You've lost your freaking mind. You go on social media and you hurl insults off your keyboard. Offended is, I don't like that. That's, but you haven't lost your mind. You're still acting like an adult. The third option is provoked. It's stepping away from being offended. Don't even allow yourself to get offended. And this is how I approach this story and most things. Even a political statement or a position that I don't agree with, instead of getting offended or outraged, my first posture is one of I want to be provoked. And let me tell you what the true meaning of provoked is and how I'm using it here. We think of provoked as somebody coming up and just jabbing you on the shoulder, or messing with you. No. Provoked means I'm being nudged, poked to actually engage. I want to provoke action. I want to provoke thought. So I'm a parent of teenagers. If I want to get my kids and their teenagers to open up to me, I need to provoke thought. And I provoke by using a question. Okay? So I'm provoked at this. I want some of you just to try to be provoked to think. All right, here's the statement the guy made. Gone bananas. He said, quote, "We need to see pain in the economy." Now, he's talking about the Australian economy, but again, a lot of similarities. Even though that country is God bless them, they are some fearful people. What they did during COVID to their population is extraordinary to me. But this is what he says. We need to see pain in the economy. We need to remind people they work for the employer, not the other way around. Now, I'm sure that got the snowflakes all outraged. But I'll remind you snowflakes who are offended by that statement that you do work for them. They pay you. Okay. I know. Some of you are going, why do you feel you have to say it that way? Because there will be people who will see this clip who will not understand what I just said. They think they have the right to a paycheck. You do not. Thomas Jefferson said it better than I can, so let's go back. Because most people, I saw yesterday, boy, I'm on a rant right now. I'm all over the place. Stay with me. I saw yesterday that 1 in 3 Americans cannot even name all 3 branches of our government. And we wonder why. We wonder why we have so much ignorant activities and actions in our workforce. They can't even tell you the 3 branches of government. So a lot of people think they have the right to a job. You do not. Thomas Jefferson said, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. In the pursuit of happiness bucket is the potential to earn a living. But you must work, dear snowflake, and you must do a good job, or you will not get paid any longer. Golly, I can't believe I have to say this stuff, but I do. All right. So he goes on to say, okay, there has been a systematic change where employers feel the employer is extremely lucky to have them as opposed to the other way around. Now, that's where he gets a little off, because now that's a little bit, you know what I mean? Come on, man. Like, you should, as a leader, feel very blessed and fortunate to have good people working for you. So he's getting a little crass right here. But here's what he thinks. I'll summarize his whole take because I don't want to get into the weeds of everything he said. Basically, he'd like to see unemployment go sky high, and the guy's mad. The guy's mad. He's had it up to here with entitlement. That's just telling you. Whether he's right or wrong, the guy's had it up to here, because you don't say things like unemployment should go to 50% just so people begin to appreciate their jobs again. Like, that's, you know what I mean? That's a little much. It's like me taking my kids' phones away for a year over, something I should take it away for 2 weeks. It's like, okay, all right. We're going to try to kill the fly with a 50 cal rifle. It's a little much. Well, it has gone bananas, and people like classic woke liberal Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, who, God bless her, probably very book smart, has no common sense. I mean, zero. She said, this character personifies everything that is wrong with unfettered. I'm sorry, that is not attributed to her. Whoops. I'll get to that in a second. She said, this is a reminder that major CEOs have skyrocketed their own pay so much that the ratio of CEO to worker pay is now at some of the highest levels ever. Now, I took a shot at AOC is what her name is. But she's factually correct on the disparity between CEO pay. And I'm going to point something out here. I rarely, if ever, would agree with her. But she puts her finger on something that is causing tremendous amount of tension in the American workforce. And that is, CEOs, you got to be aware. You can't be so freaking tone deaf. If people are struggling financially in your organization, maybe you shouldn't take the giant million plus bonus. Maybe you should show some empathy and understanding. Everybody expects you to make more, but maybe when people are struggling, you aren't taking a massive bonus. You defer it. Have some sense, executives. That's part of the problem. Because nobody cares what you say until they know how much you care about them. And you don't come across like you care about them when you do stuff like that and say boneheaded things like this guy said. Now, what he is getting at is, I'm providing you a paycheck. You can't make all these demands of me all the time. You can't be entitled for a raise every time inflation goes up, because that's not how you run a capitalistic business model. And he's right. He's not right to say that it should be 50% unemployment. That's absurd. So when you see these things, be provoked. And he is getting at some tension from the executive side of things that still has some truth to it. So I'm not offended by the guy. I'm not outraged. I am provoked, and he needs to be provoked to think about his comments and how he can make the same point without coming across like a guy who's in the ivory tower, who has no idea what everybody else thinks and feels, who makes way less than him and even work for him.